Hello, everyone. Tim and Tuesday here, welcoming
Hello.
you to the next in our series of Inside the Outside. We have two outsiders with us today, Summer Sibley-Brown and Trupti Sommer. And so let's just dive right in. Summer and Trupti, can you say hello and maybe tell us a little bit about yourself? And we had a question, right, Tim? We were going to ask.
We did, yeah. We actually brainstormed this question with another TO team member. And so we were like, what do you want to ask Trupti and Summer, Rona? So the first question was kind of, what's your background and how did you come to TO? How did you find your way here?
Okay, I'll go. I'm not a chronic
Awesome.
waiter. So my background is a lot of things: education, philanthropy, grassroots, found community movement building, and food systems. Yeah, and I'm Summer Sibley-Brown. Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you.
And how did you find your way to the outside, Summer?
Simple answer: Tuesday.
No, you know, that's why I asked. I want to make sure we got that in.
No, but Tuesday came to the Virgin Islands to host an art of hosting workshop, and we met. And then over maybe 2 years of getting to know each other, she introduced me to Tim, and Tim was like, "Yeah, you can work for us for the next year. Let's do it."
Absolutely.
That's how it went. Tuesday was like, "Yeah, maybe Summer should come to a workshop." And at the end of the conversation, it was like, Tim was like, workshop. Nap. She should just come.
You really did.
We got some work to do here.
And I feel like you just did exactly say what happens at the outside. That's exactly how it works.
Often. Trupti.
Hi, I'm Trupti Sommer. My background really, I was a dentist by profession in India, which is, it's interesting. Yeah, so you have a wide range of people working for the outside. I came to the,
Right.
You bring in all the skills, right? Like
Absolutely.
I can work on evaluation. So I came to the US as a student in 2014, and since then I've been involved in research and evaluation work. How I sort of found the outside was through Jody Sanford, who is a friend of yours. And a little bit of the journey was, a lot of my work was and that's how evaluators and researchers are trained here in the US, in many ways, very linearly. And in the work we do, the linear work of research and evaluation doesn't really suit well. And so we saw this as sort of think really about how do we use research and evaluation to support systems change, to really do some work on equity. And because the Future Services Institute was already doing work in human services, I think the New York City project was a natural fit for me. So that's how I found my way to you and the outside.
I love
Yeah,
it.
and I want to just say, just to add to that, when we spoke with Jody about kind of what we needed in terms of valuation, and you know, we were just talking about building our team, and I said, Jody, what's really, I mean, like, obviously I don't worry that Jody's gonna put forward someone who's really competent, right? That was not even, I just said, we just actually need someone who can like be in rooms with people and like stand up for evaluation, which has been a really nice thing that you've been able to bring, like both the deep expertise, but also just the ability to say, no, actually we need to do this and it needs to go like this. And so that's been a really great addition to our team, because, you know, frankly, Tim and I think that would probably be the place in the outside's work that we know the least about.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, so, I mean, I think we can talk a good game at a very high level. But once you get down the surface, we really need someone like Trupti there to make like proper sense of the situation, you know. I can talk about like, you know, the loops of evaluation and like why it's developmental, and then I need someone else to start talking because, you know. And you know what, the other thing I love is like how relational it was, the way that both of you found us. You know, like Trupti Sommer, you know, Jody is someone we've worked so closely with, and then kind of like through that relationship, you found your way into us. And so I love that. There's something, I think, very true about how many people find us, that it is relational, you know, it is relational.
And I can go back and I can actually name the person, Christina. So
there we are.
Torres is a person who actually made the connection with Tuesday and the Virgin Islands or Tuesday and St. Croix. So when Trupti was talking, I was like, no, it is very relational.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Summer, I want to also say, and I know we need to move into our next question, but I also want to say, just to name, so yes, it looks like, yeah, Summer come to a workshop, but also Summer you were like, I want to learn this. Like there was something actually quite, so both were very relational. I think Trupti in some ways, like Jody brought you in, like this is the right person. Summer, you're like, I want in, like this is something I want to do, which has continued to be, I think, true of you in our work. Like you're like, I think I can do that. Let me try that. And it's been really great. Like that feels to me like it's part of what being an outsider is, right? Like, yeah, sure, I can do that. Let me go do that. I just think that there's a really interesting, what's that? Ethos would be the right word, actually, that outsiders bring, right? Which is like, I can do this thing, or I want to do this thing. Let me figure it out.
Right.
I think that's absolutely true.
And so one of the things we talk about in the outside is this kind of like, I don't know if this is the right, maybe it's only me who says this actually, but some kind of like virtuous circle in the relationship between us and our subcontractors, where obviously they're coming and they're engaging and supporting our work, but hopefully they're learning things that they're then taking back, and it's influencing their work in whatever their local context is, whether that be kind of academia or whether that be in the Virgin Islands. Do you know what I mean? There's like this cycle that takes place. And so the second question Brona gave us was like, all right, so how does your work influence what you do with the outside, and how does the outside influence your work? And over to one of you. What do you think?
So I am excited because I think that what it does is it helped me realize, one, that my work was developmental, and that instead of trying to do like summative evaluations and building strategic plans, I was working in a way where I was prototyping. I was experimenting and learning about food systems in the Virgin Islands and where food systems fit in where our food system fits in the larger story. And I didn't have a name for that. And I felt like I didn't know what I was doing, and I was failing frequently, and I was overwhelmed. And then I met Trupti because I was working on the NYC project, and I was sitting in the room in the back providing support and hearing all these themes about how developmental evaluation works. And all of a sudden, this work made my work make sense. And so now I had an explicit lens named that when people were asking me what I was doing, I was able to stand up for my work and say, no, I'm actually working in this way, and to more deliberately apply experimentation to the way that I was working instead of feeling like I was wandering. So this work has been a huge help to Virgin Islands good food.
Wicked. Trupti.
That's a perfect, like, I wish we can just clip that, Sommer, and like have you as on the front of like a developmental evaluation website.
I think we
Great.
can.
Voice, yay, go developmental evaluation. I think in my reflections and seeing the work in New York City especially, I think my learning around work around equity and systems change. I'm sort of at a learning edge or along a learning curve. And I think what I saw in the room in New York City was these tensions around how you define equity, how you define inclusion, how you define participation. And what I realized is that both with scholars and with practitioners, we sort of go in with this analytical lens around equity and inclusion and participation. Mm-hmm. You are in a room of 50 and 100 people, like that analytical clarity actually goes out of the window because you're dealing with people's lived experiences. And so I think it's just been a huge learning curve, and it's been a huge learning around how do you navigate those tensions in the room and how do you work with those tensions.
Right.
Yeah, and I think especially in the role of a researcher and an evaluator, in the role of the DE sort of lead in the New York City project, I was sort of holding those multiple tensions, right? I was hearing on one side, like these definitions and these boundaries of what equity and inclusion participation means. And on the other side, I was hearing other people's lived experiences about why they define equity in a certain way. And I think as a researcher and an evaluator, it's difficult to sort of hold those tensions because people question the methodology, people will question your findings. Mm-hmm. And so it was, for me, it was a learning to sort of hold those multiple realities and also acknowledge my own lived experiences as a person of color.
Right. Right.
And so that was a huge learning. And I think when I think about this work, I never, like I say this to myself, I don't think I'll ever reach a point where, where I've really found a way to sort of navigate these tensions. I think I'll always be on this learning curve. And I think this work around equity and systems change, it's always like that. I think you keep on making mistakes and you don't, it's that finality point of being sort of proficient with sort of navigating these tensions never really arrives.
Yeah.
Mm.
Absolutely.
Proficient mistake making. That's beautiful.
Proficient mistake making. I like that.
I do too. I like that a lot. And I was thinking, Tim, in the past, we've had a conversation around kind of like this work being like surfing a wave. And so like what you do is you become a good surfer, but you still, sometimes you get blocked, knocked down by waves, but like the waves are different, right? Like it's never the same wave twice, but what you do is you build your proficiency at surfing those tensions and being in that. But it's not like now I have the perfect surfer on the perfect wave and now we've got it, right? So that's amazing. We are just about at time. These are just like quick inside the outside. There's so much more we could talk about. I feel like, just dentistry alone, Trupti, I have questions, right? And
I have a question too, I think.
Summer, we haven't talked about we haven't talked about like food really. And so there's just a lot more we could do, but this is just a quick glimpse inside who we are working together. So thank you both so much for joining us today. It's really good to be on with you.
It's
Brilliant.
always great to be with you.
Right.
Thank you.
Enormous gratitude for all that both of you bring.
Yeah.
Good. Thanks so much, folks. Take good care.
You too. Bye-bye.